Hi guys, back again. Today we got domain and range of functions, and sometimes not even functions, but we'll talk about that as we go. Domain and range, I know you've heard these before. Let's figure out what they are. First of all, domain. Domain is basically just all the x coordinates. It's really a set of all the inputs, really the x values of the function, so the x's, or how far your graph is going from left to right. Your range, just the opposite, the set of all the outputs, or the y values for a function. It's also on a graph, it's how far up and down your graph is going, really all there is to it. All right, let's look at a couple here, and I'll be honest, I picked two really hard ones to go through, and let's see if you can get it. If you can get these two, you've got it made. So let's just see if you can understand this as we go through. First one is domain. Remember, domain of the x coordinates, or how far is your graph going left to right. Okay, first of all, there's an empty circle right there at -4, which means the graph doesn't actually contain the -4. It starts going to the right, then it jumps, or I guess lowers down to there, goes to the right again, then jumps up to there. So from left to right, it starts at -4, but doesn't include the -4. So I'm going to say -4 with the less than, with the greater than sign. I'm going to say, okay, x is greater than -4. Then it goes all the way here to +5. So I'm going to say actually includes the +5. So it's going to be between -4 and 5. Now notice the 5 has an equal to sign because that dot, I colored it in, but that one's filled in. The point at the -4 was not filled in, so it doesn't actually include that. Another way to write that is called interval notation. You can just do this. You can say it goes from -4 to 5. The -4 has a parentheses, the 5 has a bracket. I'm not sure if you've seen that before. We'll talk about that in class tomorrow. The second part, range. Range is, remember the y's. What all y's are included here? Well, it's down here. The graph is down here at 2. It's up here at 1. And it's up here at 3. So it jumps from -2 up to 1, up to 3. So for the range, I'm just going to put those numbers. The range y equals -2, y equals 1, and y equals 3. Those are all the y coordinates. That's all that there are. Now, assessing is it a function? Here's the deal about the function. I think you've heard this in Algebra 1. A graph is a function if it passes the vertical line test, meaning if I draw a vertical line right through that graph, how many times I'm making a mess? How many times does it actually hit the graph? Well, right there's almost 2, but that's an empty circle. Right there's almost 2, but there's an empty circle. If it hits it more than once, it's not a function. Therefore, this is a function. I'm going to say yes, because no matter where I draw that vertical line, it only hits the graph one time. Look at the next one. Look at this graph right here. Think about this. No matter where I draw, I'm drawing in there like you can see this. But if I draw a vertical line through there, I can just hit it one time. That is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Now the domain, let's go domain here. Domain, it starts right here, and that's at -5. And because the circle is filled in, it actually includes -5. And it starts going to the right. And anytime you're doing domain, you're thinking left to right, left to right. And this one's going right forever. So that means my domain is x is everything bigger than or equal to, because the circle's filled in, -5. And that's supposed to be a -5. It's like an 8. -5. That didn't help very much. Then the range. Range is how far up and down it's going. The lowest point on this graph on the y-axis is -4. It goes up to -2, goes back down, then goes forever at -4. So what is the range? The range goes from -4. And I'm putting an equal sign because it actually touches -4. And the -2, putting an equal sign again because it actually touches the -2. So one more time. Domain is how far your graph is going left and right. Range is how far your graph is going up and down. Let's look at one more. Last one of the day. Thanks for hanging in. First of all, the domain. Now this is a kind of a tricky one here. There are arrows here and here on the graph, which means if you're thinking left to right, how far is this thing going left to right? It's going left forever. That's going right forever. So domain, we could say all real numbers. The symbol for that, I'm just going to put a little, you would say hashtag there, but all real numbers, you could also just go like a big R with like an extra line there. If you do interval notation, it would look like it goes from -infinity to +infinity. It goes forever. Now the range is kind of weird. The range is going down forever, but it's not going up forever. It's going down forever, but the highest point on the graph for the y coordinate, remember range is y, is 1. high as it gets. So what I can say is I can say, okay, the y is less than or equal to 1. That's one way to do it. Another thing you could do if you do interval notation is you could say, remember, and when you're doing range, just like on domain, you're going left to right. On range, you're going down to up. You got to write it down to up. So I would say it's going from negative infinity up to 1. I'm going to put a bracket around the 1 because it includes the 1. Last thing on the video. Is it a function? Well, if I draw a vertical line there, no matter where I draw a vertical line, I'm only hitting that graph one time. And because I'm only hitting the graph one time, is it a function? Yes, it is. All right, and that's it. Hope that makes some sense. One more time. Domain, how far left and right the graph's going, and you always go left to right. That's how you write it. Range is how far up and down your graph is going, and you always write it from down to up. And it's a function if it passes the vertical line test. All right, see y'all tomorrow.